Hey guys, welcome to Squadron's Wednesday Night Live. I appreciate you all being here. I hope that everybody has been having a good week. I know I have, and it's been a good week here at the warehouse. All sorts of fun stuff going on. Every day when I go into the shop, or sometimes if I'm working here doing these videos or whatever, wherever I'm working, I just never know what in the world we're gonna get into that day. Some days you plan to do one thing and then you off to something totally different. But that is all right. That's just how we roll around here. But hope that everybody out there in Squadron Land is doing really good tonight. Wayne is with us. How are you, buddy? Uh, Talking about Arma's new kits. I hope to get everything they have coming soon, Wayne. Some of these guys, some of these manufacturers, they've got new kits every month, and we try our best to get them in here as quickly as possible. Sometimes it's sooner than later, and sometimes it's a little later than we would like. But I know that Arma is a good brand for us, and I know that everything that they've got will be here at some point. Chip, it's good to see you tonight, buddy. Swamp buggy races. That sounds like a fun time. Yeah, Chip's talking about the Edward FA-18 Legacy set that's coming out, and that's another one of those that Edward, new stuff every month. That one in particular, though, we're all on top of it, and it will be here just as quickly as it possibly can be after they get that released. And Chip specifically talking about our Squadron combo pack of that. And yeah, that's going to be really cool. You're going to get a lot of goodies in that at no extra charge to you. Randy is with us tonight. Good to see you tonight. And Ken, EV Cronin, how are you, buddy? Patrick, Gothmog is here. Excuse me. Looking forward to the show and tell and the new TIE bombers. So here's something cool about the TIE bomber. So perhaps you saw and perhaps you did not see our video that we posted Monday, I think it was 2 days ago. We did an inbox review of the new TIE bomber, this guy. And that was really cool seeing those parts. It's a relatively simple build relative to, say, a 35th scale Dora, especially compared to that. It's a very simple build. And you guys know Tom that hangs out with us on Show and Tell Night. Well, Tom took that one after we did the review, and he was able to get it put together and painted. How you like this? So that is it's just a super, super cool kit. I can't wait till this thing is released. According to Round 2, who is the owner of AMT, this is supposed to be ready in June. I think they are claiming a late June. So if you guys hang out with us on most Wednesday nights, you know that when they say late June, we're probably going to be looking at July. But nonetheless, we should get it this summer. This particular one, if you're wondering why this window is not open, it's because Tom's not quite done with it yet. This window is actually clear as well as this one, and you can see the whole interior. He's got to paint the interior of this, and right now what's blocking it is a piece of masking tape that's painted over. But other than that, and other than weathering it, it's good to go, and I just wanted to show it to you guys tonight. We should have this on our table, our booth at Wonder Festival, which is taking place alongside MomoCon in Atlanta in 2 weeks, starting tomorrow, 2 weeks from tomorrow. We'll have it there, and then we'll have it the week after that at Wonderfest in Louisville, which you'll also be able to meet Round 2 themselves. They will be at Wonderfest, and I'm sure that they will have their factory-built one of these, which I assume is the one on the side of the box here. So you'll be able to see a couple of them at Wonderfest, and see ours at Wonder Festival the week before. And yes, I know it's very weird. 2 shows, very similar names, back-to-back weekends. It's we're still not used to that. It's kind of odd, but nonetheless, that's the that's what we've got going on. So, Kidone, how are you? Good to see you tonight, right over here in Georgia with us. And 2 hands down in Florida. How are you, buddy? Well, tonight, is everything okay with Jeff? Yeah, Jeff is good. He is just out of town. He's going to visit some family, and I don't know if we're going to see him tonight. I know he's been traveling all day with his wife. They're headed out of town, but as far as I know, other than what he's got to do, he is doing fine. Alan, it's good to see you tonight. Let's see. Two hands. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, the museum down in Pensacola. I've been there one time, many, many years ago. I'd love to get back down there, but that'd be cool to see that. He says, "Are we going to get the new tooled wild weasel by fine mold in 72 scale?" I'm going to say I would like to say yes, because we do carry fine molds. We do get all of their new things, but fine molds they're a wonderful company. They make fantastic models, but their manufacturing schedule is a bit different than some other companies. So the reason I'm hesitant to answer your question is yes, we are going to get them, but the question is when. They announce things, and Russ would be able to give you a little bit more details on how exactly that works. So I haven't seen that yet, but if they have announced that, I am sure we will get it. But it could quite literally be a year from now before we actually see them. I remember when what was it that their last kits that just came out? Oh, the Zeros, the 48 scale Zeros. I think it was like, I don't know, 8 or 9, 10 months before we ever got them after they were released. So it's a little different, but we will get them, and that'll be awesome to see that when they get those out. And two hands again, Mountain Dew as thinner for our paint. If that is a possibility, I can guarantee you that Jeff has tried it, because he is Mr. Mountain Dew. So if it works, he's done it, and if it doesn't work, he probably knows why it doesn't work. Oh man, JL, good to see you tonight, and Arnell is with us. Danny, how are you, buddy? Derek, getting rained on. We are getting a little bit of rain today and yesterday as well. So. Oh man, Danny, always sending Jeff pictures of what you're cooking. One of these days we're going to sneak up and show up at your house, and you better have dinner ready, because all those pictures you show us, they are pretty fantastic. Lawn Care, good to see you tonight. The McConnells are here. Rex, oh man, surgery on your foot. Well, I hope that you get to feeling a little bit better, but it's your foot. So, like you said, hope to get a lot of modeling in. Good excuse, right? Or good reason to get to the modeling bench. Ed, how are you, buddy? Hey, Ed, I've got to say, Ed sent me something in the mail. He knows that I'm a big hot sauce guy. I got a package in the mail the other day from this Bernie. Am I saying that right, Ed? Bernie hot sauces. And I actually had some of that tonight, Ed. So thank you very much for sending that. It was quite fantastic. I really appreciate it. And it'll probably all be gone in the next week or two. Charles, good to see you tonight. Skip, how are you? No severe storms. Yeah, it's we're getting probably today what you got yesterday. And yeah, well, I appreciate you always reminding us to hit that thumbs up button, Preston. And I'll one up you there and say, if you hadn't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. It helps us out and lets us know that you guys are interested in what we're doing here. Let's see. The Way, how are you, buddy? And Papa Huff. Kimberly, good to see you tonight. Let's see. Alan asking about the roll call on the P47 group build. So if you were a part of our P47 group build for the Tiger Meet at the IPMS National Convention this year, we sent out what we are calling a roll call a day or two ago. And this is our first roll call. And basically all this was, we've had a lot of interest. We've had a lot of people over the last few months say, hey, I'd like to be a part of this build group. But the fact is, the show is coming up very soon. It'll be here before we know it, and we have to make sure we have enough space in the Tiger Meet to accommodate all of the models that are going to show up. So we sent an email out and asked all those that have already expressed an interest in joining us. Said, hey, are you really coming? What are you bringing? And Alan, I don't have a final count on that because the emails are still coming back in. But I would say of the emails that have come back in, we've got actually more P-47s than we did to begin with, because if a guy said, I'm going to bring one, well, now he's got two that he's built. Or if a guy was going to bring two, maybe he's got three or four. So we're going to have a good showing. I think it's really going to be great. We're going to do another one of these roll calls in June and then a final one in July, just to make sure we've got everybody accounted for, and the guys that are running the Tiger Meet up there in Fort Wayne know what to expect, because it's going to be more than just a few, I think, is what it's looking like. So I will have some numbers for the group, for the P-47 group, to share sometime in the next week or two. Theron, how are you today, buddy? Good to see you. Oh, well, here's a surprise. Jeff looks like he's tuning in from the road. I guess he figured out how to make that happen. Hey, buddy.
Hello, Dr. Modelstein here. Oh, wait a minute, wrong show. Sorry.
How are you?
We are moving and grooving. We're on a road trip to New York City, basically, suburbs of New Jersey, just outside of New York.
All right.
And off to see some family. I'm gonna pay a visit to my wonderful 93-year-old mother-in-law.
Nice.
We're gonna have an early Mother's Day with her.
Okay.
And then I'll be flying back. I'm helping my beloved co-pilot
Howdy.
do the 16-hour drive, and then I'll fly back on Saturday and right back to the grind.
Nice. Okay. Well.
Oh, and for the record, I have tried it. There's the label. There it is.
Of course
I have tried it.
So and how does that work as a thinner?
It doesn't work. It bubbles and fizzles too much. So I would stick with and then I drank it. Mountain Dew with paint mixed in it is not the most refreshing beverage that you could ask for, but
okay.
Hey, beggars can't be choosers.
Well, but, there you have it, two hands. Don't use Mountain Dew if you run out of thinner. You just got to buy more thinner.
Now, we've always said that if you do run out of thinner, you can use a mix of isopropyl alcohol and distilled water.
Yep.
91% or better, and that works as an improvised thinner for the paint.
There you go. Just not Mountain Dew.
No Mountain Dew. Pepsi doesn't work. Diet Pepsi doesn't work. Not that anybody would want diet anyway, but
Jeff, here's the thing. This started out kind of as a joke, but I kind of think you're being serious that you tried that. And
I'm sorry. I can neither confirm nor deny.
Oh gosh. Okay.
No, the thought actually never. I drank it before I got a chance to test it. So and the same thing can be said for any form of alcohol other than isopropyl. So, you don't want to necessarily use moonshine or bourbon or anything like that mixed in with Scale Colors paint. I'm sorry, Squadron Colors paint. I did it again. Right. Old habits die hard.
Well, I don't think somebody's going to use their fine quality, expensive booze as a thinner. Mountain Dew's kind of relatively inexpensive, I suppose.
Yeah, for the most part. It's one of the last vices that I have left.
There you go. Well, hey, the good thing is you get to you can use water and alcohol, and that's pretty dang cheap. So
Yep. So for any of our viewers who are watching and or listening, if you are in the great state of Indiana, I'm waving as I go by. So we're expecting to stop somewhere in mid-Ohio tonight, and then we'll do the rest of the 10-hour or so trip tomorrow.
Nice.
Bright and early.
All right.
So
that's good. Well, we are. I don't even know which way's up this week, Jeff. Got a lot of stuff going on. A lot of new things to talk about. Not necessarily tonight. There's a lot of new stuff. Russ has been telling me about all the new things that are incoming. Heck, I just don't even know. Getting ready for a couple of shows. We're always getting ready for a show, it seems. And
Yep. Well,
yeah,
you'll be at the festival in Atlanta in a couple of weeks.
That's right.
And then we'll be in Wonderfest in Louisville the week after that.
That's right.
As of right now, I'm still planning on going.
Good.
Unless I get hit by a meteor or something.
Well, don't do that because.
Well, I mean, not that I have much. I'm that guy that looks both ways crossing a one-way street, and the guy coming the wrong way still tries to run me over. So
Well, I mean, you figured out how to tap into the show tonight from the road. Not really sure you'd have the same luck tapping in from the other side. So don't get hit by a meteor.
Oh, if something happens, you're gonna be the first guy that I haunt.
Yeah, Jeff goes, and then finally the world is convinced that ghosts are real because Jeff's tapping into Squadron Wednesday Night Live.
I am going to absolutely do my utmost to make that happen. That's proof of concept for me.
There you go.
But I'm really happy to see the round 2 TIE bomber.
It turned out really nice.
And I don't know if you saw it on round 2's website, but they announced the interceptor as well.
Yes.
No release date. Yeah, no release date yet that I'm aware of, but the interceptor has always been my favorite. It's just such a menacing looking spaceship.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep. Well, they actually released. I don't have any of them up on the website yet or anything like that, but they actually sent over a whole list of new things, more cars, as you can imagine, but they're bringing back the Disney Black Hole movie. They're bringing back those models.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they got a bunch of cool stuff coming. So we'll just have to wait and see. What's really neat about the TIE Interceptor, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm not showing it, so I'm just going to say it. But when I went to visit them up in South Bend a couple of weeks ago, he actually showed me the box art, the real painting of the TIE Interceptor. Oh, it's so cool. I can't wait until we can show everybody.
That'll be really
yeah, you're going to love it.
That'll be really neat.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of my anticipated releases.
Okay. Well, this particular week, 2 days ago, actually, if you're a Star Wars fan, this is the week you talk about it. And next week we'll be on to B-17s and Shermans and everything else, but it's all about Star Wars this week. Yep.
Yeah, that was a well-received announcement. It's gotten a lot of positive spin and a lot of good publicity. And
right.
I noticed that the inbox review has gotten quite a bit of traffic. So.
Oh yeah. Did you see? We did the review. We posted the review of the Land Speeder.
Yep.
That's kind of really cool too.
And then Frankenstein today.
Yeah. That one was a surprise. I wasn't really expecting to get an early copy of that, and it showed up, and we were able to put that together. That one we'll follow up here in the next couple of days, probably with a build video showing how that kit goes together. The seam lines on that kit are like really, really good. When I popped the legs together,
yep,
it's like the seam line disappeared almost.
That's
it's
great.
Going to be very, very minimal amount of work to get that painted up. But that's kind of how it's going with a lot of these manufacturers these days. The engineering and the way they're able to make these tools now is such that, if you could have seen what's being made today 20, 30, 40 years ago, you wouldn't have believed it.
Yeah. And I think technology plays a huge role in that, being able to assemble a model virtually in engineering software before you actually start cutting molds and things of that nature. It goes an awful long way in cutting out the trial and error process that, mold makers had to do for the last 50 years.
That is true.
Yep.
That's true. Oh, look, Russ is in the chatter. Dad, as I refer to him as. Hello, MMD, HQ, and LJ. Thought I'd let everybody know that I'm placing pre-orders for all the round 2 products. Well, see, there you go. We're talking about round 2, and he's getting them coming in here. And Tamiya, oh man, the Tamiya new stuff, the M24, this new BF109, They got a handful of other new stuff that's coming. Yeah, and then Mobius. That's another one that's kind of, it's not a new brand, but it's new for new Squadron and
Right.
MMD. You know, Squadron MMD used to have it years ago, but it's relatively new for us now. But that stuff is just really just cool. If you're into anything licensed, movies and video games and all that kind of stuff, that's kind of the go-to place. Them in round two.
Yep, absolutely. And they're doing some great things for the hobby. They're hitting a niche market that it kind of caters to the golden years of especially us as older modelers. You know, the 20 somethings and the 30 somethings that are out there modeling, they
Right.
don't have that affinity for the old Aurora monster kits or whatnot.
Right.
And the fact that all of these subjects from our childhood and our youth is my wife's doing Mario Andretti. Yeah. And so, it's really, it's really a kind of a great thing for the hobby because we're like kids in a candy shop with all of this retro new stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's really kind of cool.
Well, here's another cool thing that's we've kind of known about this, but we can talk about it for a second if you got it. You're getting a little dark over there, but we can still hear you. So Mark is asking about Border's new 35th scale P51, and the cool thing about this, Mark, is we actually got some pictures, and I can share these. So give me one moment. Mark is specifically asking thoughts about the pre-painted plastics, and Jeff, I'll give you my opinion, and then you can give us yours. Pre-painted plastic, in my opinion, it doesn't bother me. I mean, because imagine you're painting this P51, you want to do it in chrome. Well, if the parts are gray, you got to paint it. And even if the parts were chrome, you're still going to paint it. So to me, it doesn't really matter if the parts are gray or chrome or yellow or Mountbatten pink. I'm going to paint it whatever I want. I think the audience that these guys are going for, and you're seeing it more and more, and I'll be honest with you, I think they're going after the Bandai approach because the younger audience does not necessarily want to do what we want to do as far as painting it goes, but they're doing it in such a way that we can still paint it however we want.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Jeff?
I'm kind of torn. Yeah, I look back on, there are some kits that you can get away with. For example, if anyone has ever built the old Tamiya F4 Phantom series, they designed that kit to have no seam down the spine.
Right.
The fuselage is a cap, and you put it on top of the wings. In that instance, pre-painting the fuselage would be absolutely perfect because when you close that fuselage half up, you're doing it at the wing root, which is it's hidden and it's quite nice. But the conventional model kit where you've got a left fuselage half and a right fuselage half, the serious modeler is going to putty that seam up and fill it and sand it, and then you immediately take off the pre-painted part of the paint that's been applied to the model, and you've got to replace it with something, and then matching the color that's already down could be problematic. So I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm a purist. I do think that they are perhaps catering to the market that. And how do you say this without sounding like you're a snob? But I have always said that modelers like us and the overwhelming majority of our listeners, we're the tip of the spear. We putty, we sand, we airbrush, we fill seams, we scratch build, we use photo etch, we use resin, we do all of those things.
Right.
That kind of put us in the top percentage. Thousands of modelers out there who just buy a kit, build it, put it together, and that's the end of it. There are a lot of guys that I know that build what we call naked models. They don't even put paint on them. They just build them. So I think it has its place in the market for those modelers who are not looking to put a lot of time and effort into the finishing aspects. And we all know that, there are certain kinds of modelers. There are guys who love to build and hate to paint, and there are guys who love to paint and hate to build. So maybe this falls right in the middle and caters to an audience that has, for up until now, pretty much been overlooked.
Right. Well, and that's, if you look at these pictures I've got going, they're build up pictures here.
Oh, phenomenal.
They are, but that was done by, like you mentioned, somebody like us, somebody that's going to go the whole 9 yards. And as it gets back around to it here in just a second in this slideshow, you'll see the actual sprues, the pre-painted sprues. There you go. Here they are. That's right. More or less a starting point.
Right.
Put it together and leave it if you want. I mean, I can see my oldest son. He's kind of getting a little interested in doing things like this. I can see him putting this together and being happy with it.
Yep.
But then
absolutely.
If you're going to go the whole 9 yards like these build-up pictures they have, you can't just put that together and leave it. That you got to work at it.
Right.
So I don't know. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Some people aren't going to care. Some people, maybe like you, Jeff, the purist, maybe they're going to pass on this. But that's everybody's choice. You buy it or don't. But this is the way that it's going to be offered.
Truth be told, I don't know that I would pass on it, but I would, I would judge the kits on the merits of the molding and the plastic and the construction and the engineering. Right. And then I would simply put a coat of paint on it.
Yeah.
A squadron paint, squadron colors.
Well, I mean, it's just like your Parker race car you did.
Yeah.
The Porsche.
Yep.
It was pre-painted. You decided that you didn't like it quite as good. You thought you felt you could do a better job, so you painted over it.
Stripped it and painted over. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. Mark, I don't know. There's nothing I can do about it. If I don't like it, sure. Would I rather have had an unpainted? Probably, but this is how they felt that they need to do it. So we'll just take it what it is. It's the same thing that Dragon just did with their 109. I didn't know how I was going to feel about that, but the kit's really, really good.
Yeah, and I don't know that it. I don't think it diminishes the appeal of the kit at all for the guys like us.
Right.
I mean, if you've got an airbrush and you've got a paint rack and you decide that you want to buy this kit, from what I have seen in terms of the detail and the sprue layout, it looks to be a modern masterpiece. Does the fact that it's pre-painted or pre-colored plastic deter it at all? No, because I would just paint over it. You still have to put decals on it no matter what. So
that's true. Well, and then you really start getting picky. Stuart says, I'd like to see more pre-painted canopies. And then you start thinking about, what about?
I can't argue with that.
Yeah. And then you think about, what about all these pre-painted, cockpits and instrument panels and things that we're buying as aftermarket stuff from Edward or Yahoo or Helix and ResKit or whoever, so then you really start thinking, okay, well, maybe I'm picking and choosing what I prefer to be pre-painted. But,
I think the dynamics of the hobby are changing, because I remember having this same exact conversation, albeit not in front of viewers on the internet. But I remember having this exact same conversation years ago when photo etch was introduced. And when cast resin parts were introduced, going back to some of the Squadron True Detail stuff, that was some of the very first cast resin detail parts that were put out.
Right.
And people said, well, that's cheating. And now, it's become such commonplace in the market, photo etch and resin parts. Maybe this is just another level in that ongoing dynamic as technology, gets us closer and closer to the perfect model.
Yeah, I mean, and it could be. I mean, and like I said, everybody's going to have their opinions on these. Robert says it reminds me of the Bandai multicolored stuff. Chris says pre-painted stuff makes it look like a toy. I can't argue with that. And then this is my favorite one. The Way says it'll have a great customer base. this is the one I would say is my favorite. When Chip says, "Doesn't everybody already have 30 Mustangs?" And and Jeff, you've mentioned this so many times before. Why do we keep getting more Mustangs? And it's like it or not, Mustangs, B-17s, Shermans, these home run subjects that everybody knows, because you got to remember they have to market these to people outside of what I would call our core,
Audience.
model club audience. Yeah.
And again, that follows back and it runs parallel with what I said earlier. We are the tip of the spear. The guys that go out and buy, KI 100 Atsu in 32nd scale, and an airplane that there were only a couple hundred examples made. The average modeler that's out there doesn't even know what a KI 100 is.
Right.
But he knows what a P51 is.
Right.
And there are literally thousands and thousands of modelers that are out there that's all they want.
Yep. It's true. Roger says if it draws new people to the hobby, it's worthwhile. And Jeff, to be honest with you, that's pretty much the entire reason I'm going to this MomoCon Wonder Festival show in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely.
I'm going by myself. That's why I keep saying because I'm the only one going. Everybody else is staying here. But I'm going to be completely out of my element at that show because, when we go to nationals or whatever, I go, we set up the big display and I kind of know what customers are looking for. They're looking for those B-51s and those B-17s, but I kind of know that at this show, this is not a model show, historically speaking. So MomoCon, if anybody is from the Southeast, you might have heard of Dragon Con in Atlanta. And if you haven't heard of Dragon Con, you've probably heard of Comic Con, and all these shows have similarities. MomoCon has kind of become, in my opinion, or the way I see it, has kind of become the competitor to Dragon Con. And both of them are basically a big dress-up party. I mean, the cosplay, the guys dress up as whatever, stormtroopers and anime characters and whatever. But they've got a large vending area, a massive vending area, actually. But this year, the Wonder Festival figure model show from Japan is coming and doing their Wonder Festival show in the U.S., and they're using MomoCon as their home. So our little Wonder Festival convention, if you will, is literally slap in the middle of MomoCon. And I got the vendor layout, and I don't know how many tables are in the Wonder Festival section, but I have a whopping 1 6-foot table. So you guys see how we usually go to shows, and I have to condense that into 1 6. I don't even get an 8-foot table. I get a 6-foot table.
So what you're saying is you're only going to be selling 72nd scale and 1/144 scale stuff.
I guess, it's 2 weeks away, and I really don't know what I'm going to be taking, but it's going to be the Star Wars stuff, the X Plus figures, those kind of the Bandai kind of stuff, because that's the crowd that's going to be there. And this kind of just blows my mind. We get all happy if 2,000 or 3,000 people show up for nationals. I got an email from the vendor coordinator today or yesterday, based on however they figured this stuff. They are expecting 175,000 people to come through that vendor hall in those 4 days.
Wow.
So to Roger's point about drawing new people to the hobby, if we can go there and show them, that's why I want to take this TIE bomber that is built up and it looks cool. If somebody sees that, how do I get one of the, it's however much it is. If this were die cast or something, these guys are used to spending $300-400 on something like this. No, this is a model kit. You spend a few $dozen and you build it, paint it yourself, get the satisfaction of doing it. We've got the potential of grabbing a younger audience and getting them hooked on building models themselves. And, I might be back in 3 weeks and I tell you guys, well, that was a bust. Or I might come back and say, man, there was some people that have never built a model that were truly interested in trying their hand at it. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll do the best we can.
Well, I think there's the that falls back on that argument that you see all the time in social. The hobby's dying. The hobby's not dying.
Yeah, it's just changing.
It's shifting its dynamics. It's moving in different directions. It's doing new and novel things based on whatever the latest greatest thing is. And I liken it to, if you look at what IPMS did 60 years ago when it was founded, it was a model airplane club. And IPMS then grew and blossomed as an airplane club. And the crazy thing is when you mention the word model, two things come to mind: model airplanes or model railroading. Those are the two generic terms that the word model tends to be connected with. And I think where we're going now in the dynamic is the Gundam anime sci-fi trend it's popular with the younger generation. And I dare say that, you know, the model airplanes, tanks and ships and cars, there will always be a community that builds them.
Right.
But by and large, I think as this younger generation comes into the hobby and learns about the hobby, they're going to gravitate towards what they know and what, you know, what brings them the fun. And, and that's anime and Gundams and stuff like that.
Well, Mr. Sanchez out in Arizona he said this, and I want to use what he said to present another thought. It says the hobby is transforming the fantasy Gundam, Warhammer, and that kind of stuff, and that is true, Dave. But Jeff, I would say this to you. Okay, today we have model kits of F-35s and, you know, F-16s and Abrams tanks and all these vehicles. Okay. Yep. Rewind back to what a lot of people refer to as the golden age of model kit building, which would be the 80s.
Yep.
You didn't have those.
Nope.
Okay, so back then, how many more people were building models of World War I subjects and even Civil War subjects? Now, World War I is still relatively popular, but Civil War stuff they're still out there.
Yep.
But they're like very far and few between. The same thing is happening. We all love our World War II stuff, but as you know, as the world goes on, people are building more modern military stuff. It's the things you see on TV. It's the stuff that your son or your grandson is serving in. We're seeing those kind of things. And then, you know, the fantasy stuff, you know, Dave mentioned the fantasy stuff. Star Wars, there were Star Wars kits 30 years ago.
Right.
There's just a heck of a lot more of them now because, like them or not, there's a lot more Star Wars movies and TV shows now than there were in the 90s. Right. I mean, you basically had 3 movies to pick from in the 90s. Now you got all these. So they just got more. There's more of everything.
Well, I think part of that, too, is the fact that the model industry as a whole, and this is kind of at I don't even know if it would be considered like a subconscious level, but the model industry as a whole has grown with its predominant customer base.
Right.
So
okay. Yes.
When you go back to the 1970s and the 1980s, if you were to go back and take a 350th scale, you know, whatever, back in time to the 1970s when Tamiya only had 8 of their 350th scale ships, it would be just monumental. It would be earth shattering. Right. But as we as the customer base have gotten older, we've got more time, we've got more disposable income, we've demanded more complexity and more subjects, and we have proven to the industry that you know, the field of dreams, if you build it, they will come. Yep. You know, somebody says we're going to do a 1/32 scale, you know, B-36 Peacemaker, and a dozen people raise their hands and justify that kit being put into production. Right.
Well, so, you know, you mentioned going back in time. The funny part about it is that actually sort of kind of happens. We had a gentleman come in the store in the last couple of days, and what he said is exactly what Roger here is saying. Roger D9M just got back into the hobby after 20 years, and it couldn't be any different than it was. And, talking about it's more advanced now. I mean, so, Jeff, you're talking about those old kits. Well, it's kind of like, my son, my oldest, he's taller than my wife now. Well, I've been seeing it every day, so I don't notice it. But we
Right.
go see family that hasn't seen him in a while, and they're like,
Yep.
"Oh my gosh, you're like a foot tall," because you don't see it every day. So we see the models, we live it, we work it, we do it every day. Imagine some of these guys that have been out of the hobby for 20 or 30 years that are, they're retired now, they want to get back to what they used to love. And, imagine the last kit you bought and built was something that was 20 years ago. You just get back into it. The first thing you're going to notice is the price of kits is through the roof compared to 20 years ago.
Right.
I sell kits for a living, and I will say that honestly, they are. I do acknowledge that. We've been in this
But it
for
doesn't
20
take
years.
4 hours to build them anymore either.
And that's where I was going. But it's like you said, we demand this quality now, and like it or not, the pre-painted sprues, that's more difficult for the factory to do than just, they don't come out of the mold that way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's one of those things that you take it or you leave it. And you just kind of, you have more options now of what to build than I think that we've ever had before. We started this whole rabbit trail chase with you saying people are saying the hobby's dying. There are more manufacturers producing more model kits and more accessory brands with the invention of 3D printing. There is more product available than there has ever been
at any point in history.
There has never been as much available. Back in the day, old Squadron, I'm talking about, back in the 70s, maybe the 80s, they could make claims back then that they had every hobby item that existed in stock.
Can't do that today.
Yeah, I don't care how hard we try. I don't care how much money we have or don't have, how much time. It is impossible to have every single item that is out there. It's like saying you're going to listen to every single song that exists. You can't do it. No. So it's like I said, I really don't think the hobby's dying.
Not at all.
No, I think it's changing. And I've said this a lot of times before. There are a lot of kids doing models, more than there have ever been before. But here's the thing. They don't call it building models.
Minis.
They are painting their prints, their 3D printer prints, and they're painting their miniatures, whether it's for war games or whatever it's for. There's a lot of people doing that, and it just, they may not be building Shermans and P-51s, but they're gluing things together, they're printing them, they're painting them. Maybe they're playing with them, maybe they're displaying them, but it's like you said, it's different. It's different than it was, but it's certainly not dying.
No, it's still a very exciting dynamic because there are so many manufacturers that are putting out, amazing products and new products, and every once in a while somebody stumbles upon something that's revolutionary. I liken that to, we went from wooden balsa tissue models to plastic models, and then we introduced photo etching, and then we introduced resin casting, and then 3D printing, and now 3D decals. I mean, there's a new dynamic that seems like every few years something revolutionary happens that makes the hobby even better than it was before. Right. The beauty of this, though, is that if you are that old world modeler purist, you can still buy tube cement and old Aurora kits from 1965, and you can stay in that universe if it's where you want to be.
All right. Well, here, let me one up what you just said. If you're in that old school modeler universe, guess what we just took on, and what will be on the website by this time next week. It'll start showing up in the next day or two. But guess what brand we just got?
I have no idea.
Evergreen styrene.
Yay!
So if you were in that old world,
Oh, absolutely.
scratch building, oh man, we got you covered. I don't know, it's like 200 or 300 or 400 different, sizes of rods and strips
Yep.
and sheets and just all sorts of stuff. So
Well,
that's
to give you an idea, when people say, I have Evergreen or their competitor Plastruct or K&P Brass or whatever. Well, I have, 5 or 10. I actually measure the amount of product that I have on hand by the pound. So I'm somewhere in the neighborhood of about 7 or 8 pounds of plastic strip and tube and stock and angle iron or angle, L stock and box stock and everything else. So yeah, that's great. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, well, it's so over on Dad's side, with Stevens closing up, all of his dealers are starting to pound him more about some of the things that we don't have, and Evergreen and Plastruck and the K&S brass for all these little scratch building things, and he asked me, he said, hey, if I buy this stuff, will you buy it from me and try to sell it on Squadron? I said, heck yeah. So it happened, and I just
I'll probably move the decimal point at least one space in the bottom line.
Well, it's one of those things. They're not. It's kind of like paint. I mean, a pack of strips is like $5 or $10 or less. I don't know. It's new for me, so I'm sitting here looking now. Some of them are $3.95, $4.59. There's literally 400 different items. You got half rounds and I-beams and clapboard siding and V-grooves and just all this stuff, but it's really neat. And I went ahead and told Russ to put me down for the 2 display racks they have. So we'll have those set up in the Squadron shop, which, by the way, is looking a lot nicer here in the next week or two. Hopefully we'll have all the display cabinets full. We got hundreds of model kits that customers have brought by to display in the Squadron shop. So, by the way, guys, if you're in the area or you're going to be coming, maybe you're coming to EagleQuest next year, which is a whole nother conversation we'll have a different night. But bring your models in. We'd love to display them in the Squadron shop. We want to turn this into a model museum, and you can't have a model museum without model kits. So it's really looking good.
Yeah, I've been going through my stuff, and I've found some old world Squadron parts and bits and bobs, and I'll be bringing them down to put in the museum because it's certainly stuff that I haven't seen since the 70s.
Heck yeah, I'd love to see it. But it's pretty neat. I was very happy to find out that we were going to have Evergreen, and there's, we keep saying it, but it's true. Literally since I guess I can't believe that it's been 5 years now since we bought. It has been 5 years since Russ bought MMD, and it's almost been 5 years since we bought Squadron. But we just keep adding every month. It seems new brands. Because this goes back to it's impossible to have everything. Well, it's impossible to get everything that we want to have all at one time. So we just keep knocking them out one after the other. So Evergreen is certainly
it'll be a welcome addition.
Yeah. And then everybody can scratch build cool P47 hangers like you and your buddies up there.
Yeah, Mike Fuller. Yeah. I'm still amazed at that. I mean, the model sits in my shop because I have to transport it up to Oshkosh to the museum when we finally get the work party together. And I walk past the 3D printers. It's next to the 3D printers.
Okay.
And every time I walk past the 3D printers, I look up at that thing and I still wonder how he did it. It's just such an undertaking.
Cool. It looks really cool.
All of that lattice work and all that truss work, and yeah.
Oh man.
Well, I should probably sign off because I would imagine people are tired of seeing the street lights going past my head.
All right. Well, hey, I'm glad you got on here, and we had a good chat for a few minutes. And y'all drive safe, and we'll see you here next Wednesday night.
Yeah. If anybody needs to reach me, I know there's a lot of people who watch the show who message me and whatnot. I'll be doing the family thing for a few days, and I'll be back in town over the weekend. So if I don't respond straight away, I hope you all understand why.
Oh, absolutely, buddy. Well, y'all be safe, and we'll talk soon.
All righty. Thanks. Take
Yes,
care,
sir.
everybody.
All right. Well, that was cool. Nice to see Jeff tonight. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah. Uh, totally threw off. I didn't really have much of a plan for tonight, but whatever plan I did have, but that was probably a lot more interesting than had he not come on. So that was great. Glad to see you, Jeff. And just looking at some of these comments over here, Atlanta's talking about doing a lot of the old stuff, and that's true. They are really. It's funny with Atlantis. I joke with them sometimes that their business model is selling nostalgia. But they're bringing back the old kits. They're polishing those molds, and what they're turning out of those molds is really nice. And some of these car models that they've done recently, just really really nice stuff. They hold their own even to some of the new things that are coming out. So, um, take a look at Atlantis. Any of those subjects that you can't get otherwise, don't look at it as just an old kit. I mean, Atlantis is doing a good job getting those things as crisp as they can, trying to keep them up to today's standards as best as they can. Let's see. There was a few chats in here I wanted to hit on a little while ago, but I may not be able to find them at this point. But oh, I don't know. Well, hey, I guess I will mention this since I mentioned it a second ago. I mentioned EagleQuest. So EagleQuest was Squadron and MMD's show that they used to host out in Texas. And EagleQuest started in St. Louis as MasterCon, which was VLS. That was Verlinden. Letterman, and Stock. That was the VLS company. They started MasterCon. VLS was sold to MMD Squadron in around 2005. Don't quote me on that, but somewhere in that ballpark. And when Squadron MMD bought VLS, MasterCon came with the company. So naturally, they moved the show to Texas as opposed to keeping it where it was. And it stayed MasterCon for a year or two, I believe. But then eventually, around, I don't know, 06, 07, Ed Grun or one of the other guys could probably correct me if I'm wrong, but somewhere in that ballpark, they changed the name to EagleQuest. And from that time, around 06 or 07, it was called EagleQuest, and it ran every year until 2019 when they had their last and final EagleQuest, which, of course, when they had that show, they didn't realize that was going to be the last EagleQuest. The following year in 2020, of course, it was canceled for reasons we are all aware of, I'm sure. And then by the time the show would have rolled around for 2021, the company was no longer in business and had been bought up and moved to Georgia. Now, when we bought Squadron, this was just kind of funny. Tamiya USA specifically was a big part of EagleQuest out in Texas. And and then here's Frank talking about it over here in the chat. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, Frank. MasterCon became EagleQuest when Squadron brought it to Dallas. Yeah, there you go. So anyway, when we bought Squadron and opened it back up over here in Georgia, I think it was in 2022, I guess it was, at the national convention. The guys from Tamiya were over there talking to us, and they said, "When are you going to bring EagleQuest back?" And at that time, that was like not even on our radar. Yes, when we bought the company, that trademark transferred over and blah blah blah. But Tamiya said that, and we're like, it's not even on our radar. What are you talking about? And they said, well, when you do, we will be there to support it just as much as we ever were out in Dallas. Well, it kind of kept that in the back of our minds. And then after we moved of course, we were in LJ at that time. But eventually, the story, we moved over here to Chattanooga, or Ringgold specifically, which is a suburb of Chattanooga. It's the Georgia side of Chattanooga, if you will. And I had always been a kind of a part of the Chattanooga Scale Modelers way back. I think I started hanging out with those guys back in 2012 or 13. And great group of guys. So when we moved over here to Chattanooga, I was excited that I would be close enough to, perhaps hang out with those guys even more so. And before I even had a chance to start going to their club meetings, the guys in the group kind of were looking for a new place to have their club meetings for a couple of reasons. And I forget who it was, but one of the guys approached me and said, "Hey, is there any way that we could have our club meetings at Squadron?" I'm like, "Yeah, that would be awesome." And we did that. We started doing that. The show, or the Chattanooga Club, continued to have what they call ModelCon, which is their yearly model contest at the Chattanooga Convention Center in the ballrooms. And of course, we were, a big promoter of that as much as we could be. But this past year, at the end of 2025, we had just the club had to do their show in the summer of 25. So we did that, and we got to thinking, it would be really cool if we could work with the club to do kind of a joint thing, bring EagleQuest back and do it here kind of along with what the club's got going on, because the club's got a good thing going on with this ModelCon, but maybe we could bring whatever EagleQuest has to offer. And at the time, we had no idea what EagleQuest had to offer. I'll just be honest with you. All I knew is that Tamiya wanted it to happen. I'm like, there must be something to this. So after the show in 25 in the summer, and the reason it was in the summer is because it got snowed out. It was supposed to be in January in 25, and it got snowed out. So the show happened this year in 26 in January, 4 months ago. And at the end of the year, we decided to kind of help the club a little bit more than we had previously, and see if we could do a little promoting. And we did the best that we could. And the point is, the show was a big success. The club had more people in the room than they knew what to do with, more models than they'd ever had on the tables. The general admission was just, off the charts. They ran out of tickets to give out. It was a really good show. So we talked to the club and said, "Hey, what if for next year, what if we bring EagleQuest back and we kind of do it right alongside with what you've got going on with ModelCon?" And one thing turned into another, and it was decided that we would do this, and we would call it ModelCon EagleQuest. And I think it was at the Atlanta Amps and Figure Society show this year that an initial email was sent out to previous vendors for ModelCon saying, "Hey, here's what we're going to do. It's going to be, we're going to hook up with the MMD specifically and do this kind of joint show, see what happens. We're going to move it out of January because we can't, where there's two problems with January. First of all, we didn't like the fact that we might get snowed out. Second of all, to do what we wanted to do, we couldn't use the ballroom. We were out of space. This show this year, completely out of space. If you were there, you know what I mean. So we need to move down to the exhibit halls where the 2019 IPMS Nationals were held. So if you were at the 2019 Nationals in Chattanooga, the exhibit halls, that's where this show is going to take place next year. So we had to move it out, and, long story short, work with the convention center, had to find some dates there. That place, everybody loves the Chattanooga Convention Center, and that place, I did not realize how booked that convention center stays like year round. I mean, they have something going on almost every day. And then they have big conventions almost every weekend. So the choices for when to have the show were very, very slim, but they figured something out that would work for us. And then it was set. So ModelCon EagleQuest 2027 will take place on April 2, 3, and 4. When that email went out to the vendors in the Amps and Figure show that I was just talking about, one of the vendors forwarded that over to his Facebook group, and he was actually involved in the old EagleQuest. And before I even left that room that day, there were several of us down there, Russ and Jared, even Jackie and Tom and Terry. We were, all of us were at that show that day. It was very good. And that post went out to the Facebook group that, and that word EagleQuest attracted some attention. Before I even left that room, I met, I think, three or four guys, Bob Waltman being one of them. All these guys that used to be involved in the EagleQuest, they were walking over to the table saying, "Hey, is what I heard true?" And I'm like, "I don't know. What'd you hear?" And so this kind of got going out there. And fast forward to now, we're a year away from the show. The club has already completely sold out the vendor to 250 vendor tables already sold out. The show is set. It's just really, really looking like it's going to be a fantastic time. We've got people from all over the country. We've got a handful of people from the other side of the world emailing in saying they're planning on being there. How do I find a hotel? That kind of stuff. So I didn't realize Russ, Dad, mentioned something the other day to somebody that we keep turning up these little, nuggets, if you will, of things that old Squadron used to do that we didn't realize had any value. And this is just another one of those things. I'm very happy to be able to hook up with the Chattanooga Scale Modelers because Ben Gibby's the club president. He's a great guy. And it's the huge group of great guys that are just devoted modelers. I mean, and there's a little bit of everything. We had a guy in the shop today that just found out about us, and we were telling him about the club meetings because our club meets at our shop every third Monday. And he says, "Well, I'm a car modeler. Are there any car modelers in the club? Because that's all I care about." And I was very happy to be able to say, "Man, our club consists of a little bit of everything. I mean, cars, ships, planes, tanks, sci-fi, figures, even the Gundam stuff. We got a couple of those kind of guys, and it's really cool. We've got a little bit of everything, and that's one of the main focuses that the club is going to make sure that we do for this next show for the ModelCon EagleQuest is if you build it and paint it, it's welcome. We don't care if it flies, floats, drives, whatever the case may be. We're going to have contest categories for everybody. We've even got a model railroad category that can consist of things that I like, rail guns, military stuff. It can also consist of your Norfolk Southern engine that you completely painted and weathered and made look really cool. So we're going to have all these different things. We're going to have the gold, silver, bronze contest. That's pretty straightforward. That's what ModelCon has always done. They're going to continue to do it. We're going to have a display only. If you don't care about competition, that's fine. Bring your model and show it off and talk to your buddies about it, meet new buddies. We're also going to have, in this one, Frank over there in the chat, hopefully you guys like this idea that we've got going. This is kind of how we're going to hopefully bring a little bit of the old EagleQuest and MasterCon into this show. We're going to have what we're calling the Master Class. And what the Master Class is going to be is it is going to be a competition, but completely separate from everything else. And this is going to be open to any model that has won the best in class or the highest accolades, as we're calling it, in other contests. So if you won the best of show at whatever your contest is, whether it be the Nationals, whether it be one of the old EagleQuest, whether it be the old MasterCon, if you've won the best, or if you've even won the best aircraft at Nationals, or perhaps at a prior ModelCon show, if you won a best of, the Master Class is for you. And you might say, well, how do you judge a model that has won it all? You don't. We're going to let the people decide. And this is what we're going to do is just, if I understand correctly, Frank and Ed and you guys, this is exactly how old EagleQuest used to work. The modelers who entered the model contest were the ones that picked the winners, and it was done by popular vote. So in our master class, all these models, and it's going to be broken up by category. It's not a one category for all. We're going to have planes, armor, cars, ships, I think figures and sci-fi, and then everything else. We can't get too crazy with it. But there's going to be the people's choice, best aircraft, the best armor, and then, of course, the best overall for the master class. And the way that it's going to work is if you bring a model for not the master class, for the regular contest, if you bring a model and you enter the contest, you get a ballot to pick what your favorite master is. And this is what is really, really cool to me. I don't have pictures of this yet. It's in the works. But anybody that remembers the old EagleQuest and you remember the huge Eagle Award, that's what the Masters will be competing for. And it's all going to be popular vote, just like the old EagleQuest. So I hope that it turns out well. In our mind, in the club's mind, we think that it would be so amazing to have all these masters, these models that have won the best of the best, all displayed together. Because when we go to these shows, you see these models, and you probably saw the model that would end up winning, the next day in the award ceremony. But when you see it, just looking at everything, you say, yeah, that's a great model, but you don't perhaps realize that you're looking at what's going to become the best of that show. And then by the time you find out that's the one that won the best of the show, a lot of times it's packed up and they're headed down the road. You end up seeing pictures of it. You end up maybe seeing it in the IPMS journal or the whatever publication that it ends up being in. And that's all great. And I love seeing pictures, but pictures don't do things justice a lot of times. So if we can truly get a lot of guys to bring those models out of retirement, so to speak, because that's the other thing that happens with these models. Once it's won everything, it's kind of, retired out of competition, whether by rules or just rather by that unwritten law that says, well, once I've won, I don't take it out anymore. We want you to take them out. We want you to bring them, and everybody's going to be able to see all these models in one place. It should be, and we hope that it will be one of the coolest displays of models out there, because it's all going to be the best of the best right there together. So we will see. We'll see how it goes. We're very excited. There's, I've mentioned Tamiya. Tamiya USA will be there. They're going to have an exhibitor booth. Atlantis, we talked about Atlantis a minute ago. They're going to be there with a booth. Airfix, they're going to have a booth there. And these guys, they're not going to be there selling their stuff. They're going to be there showing off new products. They're going to be there to shake hands and talk to customers in person. And there's several other manufacturers that hopefully will end up, but those three are certainly confirmed. There's going to be a lot of these guys that you hear us talk about on this show. For example, the Plastic Model Mojo. Those guys, they're going to be there. You're going to get to meet them. Heck, they may even interview you, because that's kind of what they do at these shows. It's going to be a fun time, and we hope that you guys can come to this. We would love to make this not a one-time event. Is it a yearly thing? I don't know. Is it a bi-yearly thing? I don't know. The Model Con is certainly a yearly thing. And to do it to the level that we're hoping it happens this year, I don't see any reason that we wouldn't do it every year. But that's going to be determined next April when we see how this turns out. So you guys show up. We got, I think it's 36,000 square feet is the exhibit hall that we're in. And like I said, it's really, really something that we're very excited about, and we hope that you guys will join us. You can go to, there is an official website now. It's model-con.com. And you can see kind of all the information. They've even got a little countdown clock, 330 days to go. But they kind of break down the different, display only, model contest, the master class. They break down all this stuff. Here's kind of a list. This isn't the vendors. This is the exhibitors, those companies or social media platforms or whatever that are going to be there to meet you in person, show off whatever they have to show off. They got the vendor list coming soon. I know they're still working on that. And the other cool thing is they're going to have guest speakers and things and workshops throughout the weekend. Dana Bell is going to be there if you guys know Dana, that is going to be a seminar that you don't want to miss. He is just super, super knowledgeable about aircraft. Chances are he's going to talk about aircraft colors if I had to guess. But our Randy Van Dyke that we talk about, the figure painter, he's going to come out and teach guys. He's going to teach you how to paint skin. This is a cool one. John Rosengrant, the guy that did work with Jurassic Park and Alien and a lot of those other movies. He was part of the original MasterCon, and he's an excellent figure painter. He's going to be there. There's just all sorts of cool stuff coming. I know Ben told me today that they got some hotel blocks from the Staybridge, the Chattanoogan, the Marriott. So all this stuff is kind of coming together, and we're a year out. So there is no telling what else is going to happen between now and then as far as surprises and cool things to do. So hopefully you guys can be there. I look forward to it, and I look forward to seeing a lot of you guys. So let's see what else do we got in here tonight before we get out of here? Stuart says, what's the hull in the background? That is a 1/350th scale Congo, Fujimi Congo, and it is slowly but surely getting done. I got to get that thing done and wrap it up very soon. As soon as I get it done, I'll show you guys some pictures. We got a little what's in the box video of that kit. That's the box sitting down there on the floor. But Fujimi makes some really, really nice 350th scale ship models, and they're not exactly new. They've been around for a little while, but they're oftentimes overlooked. So I want to show you guys what you get and what you can expect in one of those. This particular build I'm doing is for somebody, so I don't get to keep it, but I'll certainly have pictures to show you. But it's got a lot of Pontos goodies on it. Wood deck and photo etch and all that stuff. So hopefully I'll have that to show you before too much longer. That's kind of now that's been brought up. That's why my little ball tank and some of the other projects that that you guys know I'm working on. That's why they've not been done yet, because I've got to get this thing knocked out. Hey, looks like some of you guys are planning on being at the show next year. Robert says, please post the website address. So it's model. Here, I'll type it in the chat so you can see it. Model-con. So check that out. It's should be the newest comment that just got in the chat. I guess that's about all I got tonight, guys. There are a lot of new things that I have got to get posted on the website. I don't even know. I said it earlier, I don't even know which way is up right now, and that there's a lot of truth to that. We've got the Evergreen. There's one of them showing, but we've got a lot of that stuff coming. Poker, they did announce, we have known for a little while now that they're doing some Ferrari things. They have officially announced that it's going to be an F50. They're doing a red and a yellow. I have no idea when these are coming. Supposedly later this year, but I don't have a clue yet. I don't know if that really means later this year or if it's going to fall into the next year, but hopefully we'll know soon. We should have a price on these sometime soon. But if this is something that you want, and they're going to, the Parker kits, they're $1,000 models. And I don't see it being much less, if any less than that. Heck, it may even be more. But if this is something that you want, if you know what this is, then you know what it is. And if you're interested in these, make sure you put your email address in this box, because what we're going to do when we get the price and it comes time to actually tell Parker how many of these we want, we're going to reach out to you guys that say you're interested and make sure you're serious, and go ahead and get an official order on those, because you can imagine $1,000 models, they add up quick if we just buy a bunch of them to stick in the warehouse. But those and the other one, not just their F50, but they also have this Ducati motorcycle, and this is in the same boat. Should have a price soon, and it's supposed to be released this year. So again, if these are things that you are interested in, let us know, because it's not going to be. We'll end up having some on the shelf, but it's not going to be one of those things. It ain't going to be like an M24 Chaffee where you can just get one when it comes out. These are little bit different. Now, speaking of having Parker kits on the shelf, we do have 3 of them on the shelf right now. We've got their 917 Porsche, the Martini edition. That one's in stock. And we've got their Pagani, the mushroom gray one that you see there, but then also their newer white version. So these are in stock. These are 1/8 scale. They are quite massive. They are die cast. The bodies are pre-painted. Most of the parts are pre-painted, but it does have sprues and photo etch, and I mean it's a legit model kit. And I believe if you're curious about these, on our YouTube channel that hopefully you have subscribed to, go in the YouTube channel and search the Parker name, and Jeff actually did an unboxing video of the gray Pagani. So if you want to get an idea of, man, what do you get for $1,000? You can look at that. I thought it was listed on this page. Oh yeah, there it is, right there. That's not his. It's on our YouTube channel. So find that. What else do we have? A lot of new round 2 stuff came in. Oh, here you go. Had some of you guys asking about this recently. The FW190 from Mini Art. They are here, the basic versions, but a lot of you have asked me when the advanced version is going to be up for pre-order. We just put this up for pre-order a couple of days ago, and I don't have an exact date. I think these are supposed to be coming in June. If I'm not mistaken, they may make it by the end of this month, but I think it's going to be June. But those are up for sale now, and they just posted their other, here it is, their early production. This is the basic, but these are up for pre-order now too. So just like they've done with their P47s, it looks like they're going to make many, many, many versions of their FW190, which makes sense. I mean, you make a new tool, you want to get as much of it out as you can. The other thing that's the kind of exciting is Ryfield's got this JS2. And this is something that we've had posted for a little while, but we just got the price listed a couple of days ago. So pre-orders for this have officially opened up. And same thing on this. I don't have an exact time frame, but it's looking about sometime in July is when those will be here. Oh yeah, there's the logo for the show I was talking about. Bill is asking about the ME262 pre-orders. Bill, the 262s are here. The armored, they came in. So if you've got a pre-order with us and we didn't ship it, then, I'm going to put my foot into my mouth now. We sold out of the first wave, and we have second wave, as we call it, on order. They should be here anytime, Bill. I should have looked before I started talking. Yeah. And this happens sometimes. When we have these high profile pre-orders, sometimes we sell out between the time the container is loaded and the time they actually get here. And once they're on the water, we can't exactly add to our orders. And that's what happened here. So we will get a second shipment of these, and we're taking pre-orders for that second shipment. So Bill, I apologize. Those should be here soon. If you want to shoot me an email, I can check on your order specifically tomorrow when I get to the shop and give you a little bit of information. That's the same thing that happened with round 2's Nomad. These things came in and they were gone like in no time. And we've got a second shipment of these coming. It just happens sometimes. Thankfully, on those two particular items, it was not a one and done run from the manufacturer. But hey, sometimes it is. We were talking about the what is it? The F-18 from Edward. Some of these special limited edition things, once they're done, and that's the case in Edward's P-40 Royal class and this new Legacy Hornet. So sometimes, if you know you want it, go ahead and put a pre-order in. Better safe than sorry, because I really don't know. If I tell you it's going to be gone as soon as it gets here, I'll have them forever. And if I tell you I'll have them forever, they'll be gone the day they get here. So I really don't like answering those questions, because no matter what I say, I stand the risk of being wrong. So anyway, all right. Well, guys, that's going to be it for tonight. Next show and tell, Raymond asked, next show and tell is going to be, let me look at my calendar real quick. It is... Well, that's interesting. I do not think we're going to have a show and tell for May. The only option would be to do it next week, and I don't want to do that, because the 20th I'll be gone to the MomoCon, and the 27th I'll be gone to the Wonder Fest. So why don't we call it a no show for May? You might have noticed we did not have a digital catalog in April. That one's on me. All of a sudden, April was over, and I realized, oops, we didn't do a catalog. So that was just an oversight on us. So we're gonna not do a show and tell for May. We're going to do it in June, and we're going to say it's going to be. We'll just go ahead and do it early June. We'll do it the 3rd. Let's do it June 3rd, the week after we get back from Wonderfest. How's that sound? That'll only be a week or two after what we would normally do. So we'll just do June 3rd for the next show and tell. And what we may do, because we'll get together on the 20th and the 27th, but what we may do is just do one of our specialized show and tells. I've got a few of you guys that have sent some more hobby room pictures and stash pictures and things like that. So we may do something along those lines. But as far as our full-fledged show and tell goes, let's do it June 3rd. And don't forget, the July show and tell is going to be our triathlon. And this triathlon is, you got to send me 3 models, and they have to be from 3 different categories. So it could be a ship, a plane, and a tank, or a tank and a car and a figure, or whatever you want it to be. But it's got to be 3 different models from 3 different categories. Not 3 different scales. You can't do a 48 scale plane and a 32 scale plane. It's got to be 3 completely different genres. And a lot of you guys have already been sending them. It's funny. I'll get the email. Okay, this is submission number 1 for triathlon. And then I'll get submission number 2 a few days later. So you guys are knocking out models faster than I could possibly figure out how to do. So, Frank, the EagleQuest, ModelCon EagleQuest awards are tentatively set to be around noon on Sunday. We want to be able to get everybody out of there by 1 or 2 o'clock. But it is going to be a full-fledged, legit awards ceremony with chairs and a PowerPoint and the whole 9 yards. So it'll be nice, and everybody that gets one of the best ofs is going to be acknowledged, and all those who are sponsoring those awards are certainly going to be acknowledged too. So there'll be more. Like I said, we've got a year. It'll be here before we know it, but we do have a year, and there will be more updates as we go forward. There'll be more and more updates as we get closer. So does a sci-fi figure still count as a figure? I'm not going to be too picky on the triathlon entries. You guys tell me. I mean, if you do I don't know, a World War II soldier, and then you also do Luke Skywalker, that's fine. That's sci-fi, that's figures. You guys be the judge. It's your models, but hopefully you you understand the concept here, what we're trying to go for. So you guys build what you want. Tell me it's your triathlon. Tell me your 3 categories, and we'll go with it. I'm not going to be too terribly picky about it. And I just look forward to it. It'll be fun to see 3 different categories built by you guys. So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap us up. Y'all take it easy. Have a good evening, and we will see you next Wednesday at 9:00. Thank you guys so much.